Just a few hours away from Prague's shining towers, deep in the forest, lies a secret so old that neither historians nor hunters have been able to solve it for centuries. Houska Castle, its walls were built not to defend against an enemy, but to keep something inside. The construction decrees never fully explained its purpose. And its chapel was built right over the mouth of a pit. This is a place where even the Nazis supposedly conducted experiments in fear, where villagers whispered about a gate to hell, and where the architecture itself challenges reason. But is the castle really sitting on a chasm that opens to the end of the world? Or is all this terror simply the stone-carved reflection of humanity's ancient fear of the unknown? Come, let's step together into this evil labyrinth. Houska Castle was built in the mid-13th century, around 1250 to 1280, during the reign of Ottokar II of Bohemia, Ramsel Ottokar II. Here's what historical records tell us about its official construction purpose. First, to keep administrative control over the region. In the official chronicles, the castle appears as an administrative point connected to northern borders of the Bohemian kingdom. But since the area is not strategically important, the records are not very descriptive. Second, to organize royal estates. Some documents imply this castle was used to manage hunting grounds, royal forest, and tax regions. In other words, more like an administrative center than a military fortress. However, the castle soon passed to the Barros family, and in the 14th century, it was used purely as a residence. This indirectly supports the idea that it wasn't meant as a fortification. What's interesting is that medieval official records never mention any pit or anything supernatural. All of these claims come from folklore. Some historians link this to the fact that the castle lacks basic necessities of a typical fortress: defensive structures, a water source, a proper kitchen. The Barros family lived there, yet even things a normal house would have were missing from a castle. This is exactly what makes Houska Castle so unusual. And when you combine this with its strange location, things get even more confusing. No theory fully explains it. For example, according to some scholars, Houska Castle was not built for defense. It served as a hunting lodge or summer residence. That's why it lacks wells, kitchens, and military structures. But this explanation doesn't account for its location. The area is not particularly suited for hunting, and it's completely non-strategic. Another theory claims it was a royal administrative lookout point. According to this view, the castle was built as an administrative center to monitor the forest region, tax routes, and royal lands. Therefore, features like military towers, food storage, and water sources were considered unnecessary. Still, the castle's emptiness leaves many historians dissatisfied, and many reject this idea. And now, we come to the real mystery. Our video focuses on the pit. As you might guess, it is not academically proven, but even historians struggle to explain why this idea became so deeply noted among locals. According to the claim, the castle was not built for defense, but to cover and seal the pit. There are architectural anomalies that support this theory. The main defensive walls face inward, not outward. Most windows open the walls, not to the landscape. The strongest structure of the castle, the chapel, stands right over the pit. For this reason, some researchers believe the structure had a ritualistic or symbolic purpose rather than a military one. So, what is this pit? Early official documents about the pit beneath Houska are very limited. The pit mainly appears in folk tales and late medieval chronicles. The earliest sources fall into three categories. First, 14th to 16th century regional chronicles. A few small records from this period describe the pit as a deep and dark fissure, a hole whose bottom cannot be seen, a sinister cavity. Notably, none of these chronicles describe supernatural beings. They only mention that villagers feared the hole. In other words, the supernatural elements come from folk tradition, not official history. Second, 16th to 17th century folk texts and oral traditions. Starting from this period, more dramatic stories appear. Evil spirits emerging from the pit, flying creatures seen at night, animals behaving anxiously near the pit. These notes usually belong to priests or local storytellers, not scientifically valuable, but important folklore. As religion gained influence, belief in such stories also increased. Third, 17th to 18th century travel accounts. This is when the pit begins to take modern shape. Travelers' notes describe a fissure opening into darkness, an abyss with no visible end, a stone thrown inside makes no sound when hitting bottom. By this time, the pit had become a widespread fear motif. Like many folkloric horror elements, it grew over time. Yet, across all eras, one theme remained constant: the gate to hell. The gate to hell legend has no official source. It emerged among the local population, but its roots can be traced back to two periods: the pagan era and the Christian era. Before the castle was built, the region was surrounded by holy sites of Slavic pagan communities. In Slavic mythology, entrances to the underworld, deep fissures, dark cavities were often believed to be exits for hostile spirits. So, it's likely that even before the castle existed, locals regarded the pit as dangerous. In the late Middle Ages, terms for the pit changed. Brana do pekla, gate to hell. Pekelna yama, hell pit. Daemonis kadira, demonic hall. These appear for the first time in folk narratives recorded by Christian priests. Christianity associated underground voids with the hell, so pagan fears were reinterpreted through a Christian lens, becoming more systematic. From the 14th to the 17th centuries, stories increased. Demon-like beings emerging from pit, flying creatures at night, evil spirits serving the devil living through it. The pit's reputation as a gate to hell spread widely. This belief became so deep-rooted that even the famous condemned prisoner story of the 19th century is associated with it, despite zero official records. The legend goes like this. A condemned prisoner was told, "If you descend and tell us what you see, you will be freed." He was lowered with a rope and began screaming within minutes. When they pulled him up, his hair had turned completely white. He said he had seen humanoid winged creatures, and he died a few days later. Even in the 19th and early 20th centuries, locals found this story believable. For centuries, they had claimed that before the castle was even built, the pit swallowed animals. Strange humming sounds came from it. Wing flapping or scratching noises were heard at night. This made the winged creature's explanation seem reasonable. Some even claimed the castle was built because of these events. And when part of the pit was sealed and the castle was built over it, rumors intensified. Medieval engineers lowered large stone blocks to distribute weight and built the chapel above them. The idea was dangerous hole, sealed with stone blocks, build a sacred structure on top. Pure engineering, nothing mysterious. But locals still ask, why build it directly on top of the pit? Why go through such trouble? Some modern historians say the castle wasn't a castle at all, just a residence. Others say the chapel was placed there intentionally to calm the public and symbolically seal the feared site. In medieval Europe, building chapels on dark or ominous locations was a common sealing tradition. At Houska, architectural necessity and religious symbolism merged. From the supernatural perspective, its roots lie in the Christian idea that holy spaces suppress evil, sanctify cursed places, and override pagan fear sites. Pagan beliefs were often countered with fear-based narratives, making such constructions convenient. People interpreted the chapel built on the pit as they imprisoned the devil, they sealed the evil, the church crushed the gate of sin. This building a church on evil theme appears in hundreds of European legends, and this is one of them. The regions used by the Nazis is also tied to this legend. Yes, the castle was used briefly during World War II, but no major operations, no large facility, not a main base. Documentaries exaggerate this heavily. We can't even confirm an unnerved connection. Unnerved itself is also frequently misrepresented. If you want a documentary on this topic, say so in the comments. And by the way, don't forget to subscribe and ring the notification bell. For now, let's summarize. Unnerved, founded in 1935 by Heinrich Himmler, was the Ancestral Heritage Research and Teaching Society, a Nazi institution meant to make Nazis' ideology appear scientific. Its research fell into three categories. First, pseudo-historical and pseudo-astrological research. Goal: to prove the Aryan race was ancient and superior. To reinterpret European megaliths, caves, and tribal cultures as Aryan. Examples: Tibet expedition. Research in Norwegian caves. Ritual spaces in Houska Castle in Germany. Second, human experimentation discussed as scenes. This was the darkest part. Aptitude called pressure test, disease experiments, torture level endurance test carried on in concentration camps. These are among the greatest crimes in history, fully real. Third, occult and mystical research, smaller but popularized. Himmler and some SS leaders were obsessed with pagan beliefs, Norse mythology, astrological symbols, sacred sites. So, Annenberg studied ancient Germanic pagan temples, mystical geographic areas, burial mounds. But this part is often exaggerated by documentaries. Recorded Annenberg activities include Tibet, Norway, Wewelsburg, some Baltic areas, and a few caves in France. Nazis plus occult is a now popular theme. Combined with Houska's Hell Pit fame, people assume Nazis must have done something here. But there are no archival records, no documents. Annenberg reports never mention Houska. It's not even on the list. What has been found? Empty rifle casings, small pieces of military equipment, some buildings repairs, all typical wartime remains. But there is no evidence for occult research rooms, laboratories, hidden symbols. So, why hide such activities unless nothing was ever there? Today, paranormal researchers claim EMF spikes, electromagnetic field anomalies appear in the chapel. But the castle is made of all stone. Metal reinforcements, electrical wiring, humidity, and device interference can easily distort EMF. There are no reputable results, so the scientific value is low. EVP, electronic voice phenomenon. Recordings share whispers, muffled sounds, and growls, but most of these were microphone noise, echo, or ventilation hum. Of course, they could be caused by low-quality equipment. Again, there is no reputable example here. Although it was claimed that temperature fluctuations, so-called cold spots, were recorded, this is a very common physical occurrence in medieval stone structures. The only thing that could be considered noteworthy consists. There is a consensus among the claims of paranormal teams. Most movement reports are in the chapel. Most sound recording claims are near the pit. The rate of people who say they have seen a dark shadow is higher compared to other sections. This could also be a shared psychological effect. The idea of the place where evil is sealed shapes people's perception. It's clear that the atmosphere of the castle creates a strong psychological impact. Popular culture further shaped Houska image in this direction. Instead of a historical structure, it evolved into a mystic horror-centered location. This is because the structure already belongs to the category of a castle that doesn't look like a castle, and its paranormal reputation is constantly fueled by the media. Programs like Ghost Hunters International, Destination Truth, and Ancient Aliens presented Houska as the center of the Gate to the Hell theme. These productions poisoned the castle as a dark anomaly that science cannot explain. American and British paranormal TV channels, Travel Channel, Discovery, Sci-Fi featured Houska repeatedly. As a result, even though the castle isn't widely known in Europe, it turned into a cult chilling spot in the United States. Even when they don't mention Houska directly. Many novels and comic books clearly draw inspiration from it, with themes like a castle where demons emerge from the depths, a pit sealed by flooring, and a medieval chapel built to resist the devil. On creepypastas, Reddit no-sleep stories, and forums, the title The Gate of Hell, Houska Castle keeps appearing. This overshadows the structure's serious historical aspects, turning it into a viral horror brand. Today, Houska's main image is not a historical castle, but a cursed structure built over a magically sealed rift. This image is now so established that even documentaries put legends at the center and push historical parts into the background. Even castle tours today follow this approach. Houska Castle is run by private individuals, not the state. Therefore, the narratives are more flexible. Tourists come especially for the unusual and eerie stories, and the operators use a storytelling method that supports this. Local guides tell legends alongside the official history. In other words, they proceed by saying, "This is real, that is legend." But since tourists are generally more interested in the myth, the focus shifts toward that side. During restoration, the reason why the stone flooring was so large and thick came up again, and the architects confirmed that it was a heavy ceiling. This, of course, reveals the legend. If one day you join one of these tours, keep this in mind. Despite all the rumors and claims, no scientific archaeological study has been conducted with current technology in the area beneath the pit. See you in the next video. Goodbye for now.